Hello again, YouTube! This is Dr. Kendo, and we're here with another Scribblenauts Unlimited Object Editor commentary. Yes, this is the series where I create your favorite characters in the Scribblenauts Unlimited Object Editor, a feature only on the Wii U and PC versions of this game. Gonna be starting off with a male dancer as the source object. I don't believe we intend for our character to actually be male, which is fine. You know, you don't always start off with the source object of what you exactly want it to be. You know, you could start off with like a jester and end up with some kind of demon creation. You know, it's like you don't have to take it so literally or whatever. But anyway, we got a pool boy coming up right here. Back arm of that pool boy. You could also use pool girl. It's almost the same exact stamp shape right there. Each one of these little pieces that we're going to place down is a stamp. So of course, the premise of Scribblenauts Unlimited is you have this magical notebook and you can type in things and they will appear right in front of you. Well, with the object editor, you can type basically any word in the dictionary in right here and have it appear and use it and color it and size it differently to basically piece together your object creation overall. So we got a dinosaur coming up next after those golden eggs down there on the chest. And so the dinosaur we can still attach to the torso. Notice, of course, with this dancer source object, we did take off the legs. Now we also took off the head, but we kept on the arms and we're just going to extend past the arms. This creation actually will not be able to hold an item in its hand where the hands are actually supposed to be. You know, it's going to put them actually up by the dancer's arm right there if it holds anything in its hands. The thing about that is you could actually remove the dancer's arm if you wanted to, and then just place a dancer's arm right back onto it. What that would mean is that basically then you would have to increase the grid size of that arm or whatever to extend down as far down as it can go right here. The reason is because we're actually creating Momo. You guys know Momo, right? Beauty back arm, the female beauty that is. Sticky hand was for the hand right there. Notice that there's a letter I for kind of like this pole, I guess, and an oval. And now the letter I, we placed it on the torso. So attach it to the torso and then just move it down with the arrows. Now each one of these little beauty back arms is going to be a claw, fingernail type shape. It's painted all black, but you want to attach that to the dancer's arm. Would be to our left, of course, it's the dancer's right arm. And then do that again. It'll be 4 times once again. Now this thing does actually, I think, have 5 fingers or whatever, Momo, but we're going with 4 because of the sticky hand, and we're also not going to have enough stamp space. This game does actually have a limit to how many stamps you can place down to create your character overall. We'll go with a manticore coming up next, but notice that that oval, by the way, that was painted with that kind of metallic-y silver color texture pattern, it was actually attached to the back arm, so it was not attached to the torso like a lot of those other parts that we put down. The reason it was attached to the back arm is so that the arm itself would not disappear when we place it down. You know, if you put it down on the torso, in essence, the back arm would go behind it, and you wouldn't be able to make it go forward without some workarounds. Alright, so we are in the properties editor. This is where you can edit health and what characters react to your object as, and audio, and all this kind of like behind the scenes and behavioral aspects of your character. So when I get to this part of the video, I like to read background information and fun facts about whatever we're creating in this series. So of course, as I've said, we've started creating Momo, and of course Momo is the name given to a sculpture of a young, scary looking woman with black hair and huge eyes bulging out, having a wide, pointy smile, and then bird legs at the bottom of it to finish it off, as a creepypasta slash meme slash just overall figure in the horror category. The Momo origins are traced back to a user on Instagram posting a photo of the sculpture in 2016, and then pictures of it circulated around various other spots. It was in Reddit's subreddit for creepy, somewhat recently in 2018 actually, and it was then on YouTube all over the place, 4chan, and just everywhere. I am scared and creeped out by it for sure. But notice now that we've actually moved on with the head as the source object, we're going to be creating the head and the body separately. Again, I mentioned before that Scribblenauts Unlimited does have a stamp limit. Stamp, again, being each thing that we're placing down, like these spiderfish fins, and a golden egg is the main shape of that head right there. And so with that stamp limit, you can actually kind of work around that by making the head a separate object from the body, and then I'll show you in a little bit how to connect those. And we are going to be creating one other character aside from Momo today, as you can see in the title of this video. I won't reveal it yet in case somehow you can't read titles. But yeah, I got a grenadier, was the fish, basically grenadier, the fin. It was kind of like the side fin, I guess, of that grenadier for those nostril holes. And we have a ping pong ball done 4 times. It's twice for one eye and then twice for the other eye, both left and right sides. And we'll go with a comb over. We're actually going to use this several times, paint it all the way black like a lot of these stamps that we're using right now. One way to kind of get over any patterns or textures that you see on a stamp that you type in, there's actually 2 different colors that you can paint. One is all the way black, or go with the other, which is all the way white. So if you ever see something that has like shading or lighting that you don't like, or some kind of texture to it or whatnot patterns in it, you can get rid of those most of the time just by doing what I said. Surfboard coming up next. It's going to be for another strand of hair. All these comb overs and the whisker up top there on the bangs, you know, all of this stuff is going to be for the hair, and we're going to need to move around a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes this happens and you really don't have to have like a set starting point place where you start on your character, or, you know, if we're creating the head right now, we didn't have to necessarily start off with just doing the mouth or doing the eyes or whatever. It's like what will help you most though is you really want to think about what's going to advantage you as far as then having to move stuff around. You know, you want to make it really easy on yourself and not have to move things around too much after the fact once it's all placed on, because sometimes it's harder to click things or tap things if you're on the Wii U. We did have a rug to make some more strands of hair down at the bottom, all those split ends and things, and a whisker was done as well. So this is actually a necessary step here in the properties editor on the head object. If you are creating the head and the body separately, go down to this equipment tab, fill in that circle, kind of near the bottom. It says can be worn on the face like glasses, so make sure that that is filled in and you'll basically see what's going to happen. So at first it's going to look a little bit weird. Oh, whoa, that's crazy. We have our evil Alice, you know, demon Alice angel right there. So let's see, Momo the creature. No. Momo the food. No. Okay, Momo yours. There we go. All right, everybody, that was just for a joke. I'm not that dumb. Of course, I know that it was my Momo. So let's see. That's obviously, as I said, that's going to look super weird. So, you know, we just basically put the head into the hands of the body object. Check this out. Oh, my God, that is insane. It's almost as creepy as before. Switching the heads up. Here, let's actually try this. Well, we need to fix it first. That actually kind of looks hilarious. That's a good head swap. But here, I'll show you how to fix this. Of course, when you put the head into the hands of the body object, it'll go kind of where you need it to go, and our demon Alice right there was an example of exactly how it should look. Now, to get there, to get to that spot where it's right and correct, we basically now can just go into the object editor again on our body object, hit this button kind of on the left side of your panel of buttons and things that you can use, and there in the top right corner there's a Maxwell head, banana, dotted lines all around that, and there's like a wheel in there. That all, when you press that button, it turns on these green grids and things, and there's obviously a big square missing where the head is supposed to go, so you can click on that square and move it up, down, left, right, any direction that you feel that you need it to go based on where the head went when you were trying to put it on. But let's go ahead and switch to our next object. We're going to be creating Dark Samus, which is insane. So look at this on the 18th page of the color pattern or texture pattern library right here. There's this like blue circuitry, almost robotic looking pattern right here. We do want to use that. Notice where I'm going to be placing it, a little bit on the torso, but also on the arms, the forearms of it. And then there's also another stamp pattern that I want, or color pattern I should say, here on the 10th page in the top right corner. We're going to put these on the thighs, I guess, in essence, you know, these upper leg parts of the MECHA source object that we've got. The MECHA is really quite perfect, except for there is one thing we're going to run into a little bit later on, and I will show you that. But you still probably could start with the MECHA as your source object design, even despite that. So we'll go with the knee pad. I think you could type in shoulder pad and get the same thing. We're using it for shoulder pads, of course, and so we'll put those down on both shoulders. And let's go with a dagger tooth coming up next, middle body piece like that, and we'll put it down on the forearm. It's that arm that is to our left again, but it's Dark Samus's right arm. Now, something to note, after we type in this octopus, we're going to take that like V-shaped looking tentacle almost. It's like a wide angle V. But again, something to note is we have actually created Samus. It was long, long ago. Okay, maybe not incredibly long ago, but kind of long ago, we created Samus, and we actually had 2 different designs, I believe, on that one. And so this is almost like a remake of Samus, you could say. You could take like bits and pieces of that Samus creation, as well as this remake right here, and maybe make some kind of Super Samus, or just basically make it your own. Obviously, I always encourage people to kind of take my designs and really make it their own, you know, not just copy them piece by piece, unless of course you're not really super knowledgeable or skilled in the game yet or anything like that, and you just want a character to create. These tutorials will help you for that, of course, to get all of this series characters in your game and have some fun with them. We got a shrimp, that tail piece of the shrimp coming up next on here. The mahi side fin was something that we used a little bit earlier, and a dayfly will go with that back abdomen type piece. Looks like a little tail right there. It's gonna go on the other arm. I call that the back arm, or it's just to our right. Okay, now this is interesting. We're going with a Kisby ring, and the reason I say it's interesting is because we're still coming up with new stamps after this is, you know, episode what, like 293, and that's just numbered episodes. We've done several other videos that didn't have a number. They were like special videos and whatnot. Pillbug coming up next, but a Kisby ring, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering what that is, naval terminology basically for a life buoy. So almost think of like, you know, those lifesavers or something like that, kind of like that. And so it gave us a good little stamp to use on that back thigh, kind of like upper leg part of Dark Samus here. After the Pillbug is on that belly kind of area with the goldfish bottom fins on either side of that, we can also go with a stake attached to the torso and put up at the top. It's just for any kind of bridging of the neck to the head that we need for the armor of Dark Samus right there. And so let's go with these gauntlets down below, and then we're going to type in a Thresher Shark, and the Thresher Shark has 2 different fins here. I think I'll go with this, actually, the back fin. By 2 different fins, I meant 2 different fins on the side that we could use, and I think I'm going to go with the back one again, actually for 2 different purposes too. So this should all be attached to the lower leg feet area of your mecha source object right here, so just make sure that they are attached to the correct grid. Vegetarian back arm piece right here coming up next, and we gave it that little robotic blue circuitry like pattern, but paints it over that blackish gray. And a spider fish coming up next, that same bottom fin piece we can use again, light blue color on that for some more lighting. And so notice that of course I am using the green grids. Turn those on and move Dark Samus's back leg. It's that left leg of Dark Samus, but to our right. We move that kind of pointing downwards in essence, you know, it's like curled up a little bit. And so with that slight cross in the legs, this is going to look a little bit more like how Dark Samus appeared in that reveal for Smash Bros. Ultimate, because that's actually, I think, one of the reasons why you guys were asking for Dark Samus. Of course, I recently created King K. Rool, and so why not Dark Samus? Alright, we are back in the properties editor, so let's go. We'll read some fun facts for this character. Dark Samus was a being of Phazon, taking on the form of Samus and the reincarnation of the organism known as the Metroid Prime. As her name implies, Dark Samus is typically cold and utterly merciless, holding little value in the lives of others. But we're creating her largely for the reason of her announcement as an Echo Fighter of Samus in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, set to come out at the end of this year. I talked about that just a little bit ago. I'm really not personally a fan of Echo Fighters or clones, even in the slightest, if I'm honest, especially Dark Pit. I will say, however, while I'm still not fully a fan of Dark Samus, I do like the character in general with such a hardcore design. Like, I really like how it looks. There aren't many differences between her and Samus in Smash Bros., but just a few of note that we know already are her on-screen entrance, you know, she seems to warp in from a dark portal, and her hovering appearance, which we'll attempt to replicate a little bit in Scribblenauts here, but using the mecha as the source object, it does kind of make that more difficult. You're going to see what I mean pretty soon after we create the head object. Notice, of course, the script is basically when this object loses or gains health, then it will add an adjective of fearless so it doesn't run away from fights or anything like that, although with a mecha source object it probably wouldn't. And then it waits a set time, you can set however many frames you want, and then it shoots out a projectile of a small green missile. So we're gonna go ahead with the head object coming up next right here. Tooth Fairy female back arm piece coming up after that golden egg tiger shark dorsal fin, you know, that top fin of the tiger shark coming up right here. We're gonna put that all at the top, Yamulcha, except for it's a yarmulke. It just kind of is spelled like Yamulcha. But yeah, we'll get another tigerfish fin as well after those two yarmulkes on both sides. It's kind of like these ear hole looking parts. Let's see, I grabbed the wrong piece of the octopus. We're going to grab that same kind of outward V tentacle shape right here. Obviously making Dark Samus's head. We want to give it some pretty neat details and things since we have the stamp space to spare, I would say. Let's go with an eyebrow down at the bottom to round all this out for the black part of the helmet. It's like black-gray, I guess we can say. But then another octopus tentacle piece that's even wider out, but almost has that V shape again, but it's like a really wide angle this time. We'll go with the mahi-mahi, that same side fin that we used before, and we'll just put that in between, basically, these octopus tentacle pieces, so it should actually be behind both of them. And I think that's gonna do it after we give it that color pattern and things. So, of course, reminder, on your head object, you want to go down to the equipment tab and fill in the circle. It's the third one down from the bottom on this like second half of the screen. It says can be worn on the face like glasses, so make sure to fill that in. Now notice if we try to make it hover, now this is not in the movement tab or whatever, but just doing hovering, it'll do this. And so if you did actually use the movement tab on your source object of a mecha, it's still just gonna fly. Dark Samus, I don't believe, really like flies forward like that, you know, looking like a Superman flying or something like that. So hovering will basically give you this result where it'll still fly, but if you do place her down close enough to the ground, you're gonna notice here as she starts moving, here we'll lift her up a little bit, there we go. So she's getting that like slight hover with her feet still being curled over like that. So she is still gonna walk a little bit. Basically, you have to take what you can get, I guess, in Scribblenauts Unlimited, or start off with a different source object and maybe try to use some of the same stamps or something. Because if you use some kind of human or humanoid characters, most of them will hover probably a little bit more in the way that Dark Samus would from Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now there was all of our characters on screen, even with the evil Alice Angel. You know what, we should actually, because we have her right here, we should totally not click on me. We need to click on her. We're gonna add an adjective in there, make her hostile, and I gotta get out of here so she doesn't hit me. There we go. Dark Samus and her are gonna be battling. I feel like Dark Samus should be a little bit bigger if we're gonna actually be comparing the two. But yes, we have Dark Samus's projectile weapon actually being that ice ball. You could do so many things for the projectile, and look at this, it's gonna explode like crazy. That was insane. So because she does have that missile explosion projectile script that comes on as well, that actually is gonna create some problems if they are much too close to each other, as obviously a melee character is. But anyway, we got our King K. Rool design. I did a speed create of King K. Rool. I love this guy, man. I love King K. Rool being in Smash Brothers. It's so amazing. Why aren't they fighting? Okay, there we go. So King K. Rool almost gonna run away scared, but then it's just like, no, what's the point of that? That's just a trick, Dark Samus. Check this out. So he actually throws out a crown, and look at this! King K. Rool coming out on top. Ow, he's punching me.
No, King K. Rool, don't do it to me. Ow! Don't punch me. Mama.
Get me out of here!
Oh my god, if you want another awkward head swap, there's King K. Rool with the Dark Samus head. It's very, very tiny compared to his body. But alright, there's a good look at our creations. I hope you guys are happy with those. Of course, let me know if you liked the episode, but other than that, leave your requests. Usually I pick whatever's most popular, most requested. Right now, things are a little bit slower because people are going back to school, so sometimes things have a tie. Often they do. So just understand, I have to pick one. I usually just draw a name out of a hat if it's a tie. If I can't create them both. Like this time I got to create two different things. But anyway, feel free to follow me over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/DRKENDO. Not family friendly over there, so just be warned. But this YouTube channel is family friendly, and I upload every Sunday over here, sometimes more. So I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.
Down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of no return, to the rest of our lives at the